So, what about right triangles? Do you have any problems with those? I'm glad you asked. It's your girl Tiffany with Tiffany's Tutoring and Consulting LLC, guiding you through these education streets, the SAT edition. So, yes, you will have, there's a good possibility you're going to have some type of right triangle on your test. So, let's look at some problems. Again, we're in test 4 from College Board. So, the SAT does have formulas and pictures that they give you specific to geometry. I grabbed these from the formula sheet. We're going to just label them 1, 2, and 3, and we'll talk about how they're related. 22. A right triangle has side lengths of 2 square root of 2, 6 square root of 2, and square root of 80 units. What is the area of the triangle in square units? So it gives you the formula for area of a triangle. Area is half of base times height. But remember, the SAT is heavy on understanding, having conceptual understanding, because you need to know that the height and the base are going to be perpendicular. Now, the picture gives it away, but the base and the height are form a right angle. So that's how you know what's the base, what's the height. So we're going to go ahead and draw a picture here with our given dimensions. Now you might be like, whoa, how do I know what's across from where? I'm glad you asked. The hypotenuse is always across from the right angle, and it's the largest unit. So square root of 80 is the largest of these units. Now the other legs, it doesn't matter the order because I'm going to multiply the base and the height. So in this case, it doesn't matter how I write it. I just chose to write it like this. Okay. So then I'm going to go ahead and use the formula for area. Be careful because it asks for area, which area is square units. Okay, square inches, square feet. Perimeter, the answer for perimeter is actually up here as letter A, because if you add all those sides together, that's what you would get. So A is incorrect as it is the perimeter. Be careful of that. So I'm going to go ahead and plug and chug, put this right into the formula. And I'm just going to go ahead and multiply. 2 times 6 is 12. And then I'm going to multiply it square root of 2 times the square root of 2, which gives me the square root of 4. And we know the square root of 4 is 2. And 12 times 2 is 24. Half of 24 is 12. So my area is 12. Another trick answer, that 24 would mean that you forgot to take half of the base times the height. Okay. Not too bad on that one. Now let's look at 25. An isosceles right triangle has a hypotenuse of length 58 inches. What is the perimeter in inches of this triangle? Again, we know the hypotenuse is going to be the largest side, or in this case, the side is across from the right angle. Well, also, we know what isosceles means, right? Isosceles means that two of the sides are equal. And because it's a right triangle, it means it has to be these two legs that are equal to each other. Okay. If I look at my formula sheet for the SAT, it has special right triangles. And here it doesn't say that it's isosceles, but I know it's isosceles if I understand what isosceles is. So I can see that I can use this to help me. So it says that my hypotenuse is 58. Again, across the right angle is the hypotenuse. I know that also in this formula, the hypotenuse is equal to s times the square root of 2. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to algebraically solve for the sides. Okay. So I'm just going to use properties of equality. Opposite of multiplication is division. So I'm going to do the division property of equality on both sides, and I get 58 over the square root of 2. Now, this is different from 58 square root of 2. So be very careful when you're looking at those answers. Okay. Now I'm going to go ahead and get the perimeter. Here again, be careful. Are they asking for perimeter, area, or volume? Perimeter is inches, feet, units, area, square inches, square feet, square units, volume, cubic inches, cubic feet, cubic units. Okay, so again, be careful about what they're asking for because in a lot of these cases, they're going to have the answer for area and for perimeter on these sheets. Okay, all right, so let's go ahead and work out our problem. So perimeter is going to be 58 square root of 2 plus 58 square root of 2 plus 58. Okay, so I'm just adding all the sides together, right? When I add these two together, I can, since they have a common denominator, I can add those together and I get 116 over the square root of 2 plus 58. Another trick that you could fall into is D. Okay, the square 11, 116 over the square root of 2 is different from 116 times the square root of 2. So we know that D is incorrect. So what I can do is put that all in my calculator, or I can rationalize my number, my answer. So let me show you how to do that. I'm going to multiply both the numerator and denominator by the square root of 2. If I multiply anything by itself, I get 1. right? But if I multiply that denominator, it's going to get rid of that root because it's going to give me a perfect square. Okay, so then I'm going to have 116 square root of 2 over 2. Okay, and then when I divide 116 by 2, I get 58 over the square root of 2, which if I substitute that in, that's 58 square root of 2 plus 58. And that gives me answer C. Again, I could have also put this answer when I got to this point right here. I could have put that into the calculator, gotten a decimal, and then put all of my answer choices into the calculator, gotten a decimal, and looked at it that way. So it's really your choice. I think the rationalizing it is a little quicker, but again, whatever you need to do to get your answer. Look, it's about getting the answer in a short amount of time and continue to do it as accurately as possible because the test is adaptive. So every time you answer a question, it's going to adapt based on your answer. So you want to try to answer it first the best way you can. All right. Check me out for part 3. I'll talk to y'all later. Peace.